Hello beautiful ones, welcome back to my channel. This video topic today I think is going to be hopefully such an encouraging one for you, and especially if you're new here and you have been starting out your level up journey, you've really been trying to commit and learn, what can I do to feel like I'm making progress? Because for me, when I was especially just starting out, and even now sometimes I'm trying to figure out, am I on the right path? Am I still making the right decisions? Am I able to show up the way I want to show up? Is this going to get me to where I want to be, with my goals? And it can be really hard sometimes, I think, especially when you're starting out, to feel like you're making progress. And all of us want to see quick progress. However, I find that, for me, I'm really hard on myself, or when you're just in that serious season of hustling. And I think, as women, we strive for elegance and flow and ease, but when it comes down to it, when you're starting out, you're really trying to make real changes in your life, there is going to have to be a season of hustle where you are being disciplined and you're just having to really sort of stay down until you come up. So that's what I want to share today, are these 10 signs that I feel like really showed me that I was on the right path. And they are subtle, they can be subtle. You may not realize them until it hits you one day. Okay, this is happening and I am on the right path. I do need to keep going. I do need to keep showing up. Days get hard, and some days we have really encouraging days, and sometimes we have days where we just want to give up. So keep going. Let's go ahead, and maybe some of these you'll realize these are happening and it's time for me to keep going. By the way, I'm going to be sharing some clips from my baby moon with you in this video. I think maybe it'll help to motivate and inspire you to see, to realize this type of trip for me, and even just taking a baby moon, was the type of luxury that when I was first starting out and leveling up from nothing, I could not truly see myself doing. In fact, there was a time where I never even saw myself having children or being a mother. So most of that was just due to the struggles that I was working through and the challenges, and knowing that I could do better for myself, but not knowing how in the world I was going to figure it all out, okay? So let me get started out with number one. So number one, you realize that you've actually done some of the things that you only once wrote about in your journal. In the beginning, I journaled every day. I would wake up early before I started my day, and I was really writing out the vision for what I saw in my life, what I wanted to experience. I would write about my day as if I were the version of myself I wanted to become. And I would write things, like traveling the world and sailing around the world, even living on a yacht, things like that I wanted to experience one day in my life. But definitely in my dark little apartment back then, I did not have any idea how it was going to happen other than some kind of, just huge blessing from God. Now I look around and I'm realizing, okay, I have done some of the things that I only once wrote about in my journal. And that's why I love journaling, is because I have a whole drawer full of my journals that I have gone back and read through some of the things that I have envisioned, that I've prayed for, and they have happened. So don't discount yourself, looking around and stopping to go back through your journals, go back through some of your notes or your vision boards and look at those and see, okay, what have I actually experienced that I maybe didn't realize it until now? The second thing that proved to me I was on the right path is that I started waking up every day looking forward to the day, and it was no longer a struggle to get up. Even in the earlier days when I was trying to be disciplined with my time and waking up early to use that time to my advantage to set up my day, it started to be almost like a craving for me. I craved that morning journal time with my coffee and candlelight, or I craved that early morning workout that really helped me to feel energized for the day. It was not always like that, and I have had to adjust that as I have gone through different seasons of especially motherhood. But in college and when I was first starting out trying to get my career established, that was something that I started to realize. That I looked around, a couple of years ago, and I thought, wow, I actually look forward to getting up, and it's not a struggle to wake up each day anymore. Third realization that one day just sort of occurred to me and proved to me that I was on the right path to leveling up my life was that I no longer stayed awake at night wondering how I was going to make it. I just knew that I would. I became very confident that the more I showed up for myself, that I would make it. I would get to the level of life that I was envisioning for myself, even at the first, basic step of getting to the point where I had that certain level of income that I wanted. And so you may just wake up one day and realize, I don't worry about this anymore. Even if you're not at that point, I think this was, the worries went away before I even got to this point, because I knew that I was doing everything within my best ability, that I was growing and changing and evolving. And I knew that I would get there, and I knew that I was supported and had the means to do it. Whether it was, financial or not, I knew that I would be able to get there. And that is that probably should be my top thing that really proved to me that I was on the right path with leveling up. And so think about that, work on that a little bit. If you're not quite there yet, there's a lot of work that I did reading books, and I have some videos on my channel that will go through some of the books that I was reading around mindset and just working on my thoughts. Journaling was a really big practice of mine, but that is something that will really, you'll just realize, okay, once I'm here, I'm not worrying about this staying up at night as much anymore. I know that I will make it. That is when things are really changing for you, and you have leveled up if you're there. The fourth realization that I had, this may be one of the more superficial ones, especially when I began to change my outward appearance and my, the way that I portrayed myself in social settings and interacted with others, is that people will come up to me and just make compliments like, you seem different, something's different about you, and I like it. It was in a good way. How sometimes people might say you're different or you've changed and have a negative tone to it. Not at all. I had people just giving me very positive feedback on a more regular basis. So it wasn't that I wasn't approachable before, but it was just, I didn't quite receive these types of compliments in the way that I was showing up in my day-to-day and interacting with other people. This was something that I took as a sign that I was really making positive changes and showing that, I think your outward expression of yourself and the way that you present yourself to others with elegance, that is showing that you value yourself. You show that you value yourself in front of other people. I know it may seem superficial, but this is going to be, in our society, it's just going to be a way that, works to your advantage for you to increase your opportunities and to network and things such as that. So maybe you notice this too about yourself, and you can just relax a little bit and take it as a sign, I am on the right path. Number 5 was the realization that others around me were starting to ask me for advice versus me always kind of going to them asking for advice. And some of this was due to changing, who I was surrounding myself with, and some of it was not. I think that people just saw a positive change and saw some of the things that I was doing and the way, again, that I was presenting myself, and they would ask me for advice on how to do XYZ. And I did get a lot of people who reached out to me about my side hustle as a virtual assistant and how I was achieving that. And that's just one example. I had other people asking me about, how we bought our first home, or about how I got my first job. And so this is something that I think, depends on who you're around. But if you have really let yourself rise above anyone who is trying to pull you down in your life, and you've set those boundaries, you may find that even though you've had to limit your time with them, instead of trying to persuade you, oh, hey, let's just stay out one more drink, let's just stay out for another hour, or hey, let's just sleep in and go to brunch in the morning instead of wake up and go to our workout class together. Things like that, let's just all, just basically be comfortable in life, right? They will start asking you, how did you do this? Let me know your secret. That, I think, is showing that you have truly risen above and you have arrived at another level. Don't get annoyed that, okay, hey, now they're actually caring that I'm the one that has changed and I've got more disciplined and actually made progress. Overall, I just think it's such a compliment to you, and you should give back in the best way that you can, in a way that feels authentic to you if possible. Have you ever felt like when you walk into the room, people are staring at you, but it is for either the reason that you don't fit in, or they are maybe jealous of you, or that sort of thing? Well, I realized that when I walked into the room and heads would turn and look at me, it wasn't something that brought on thoughts like that anymore. I was confident, and it was actually something that, I maybe don't even notice as much anymore. My husband might, elbow me and say like, hey, everyone's really looking at you right now. And I'm, okay, yeah, I didn't realize that. You might realize it and go, wow, that doesn't bother me anymore. And that shows that you have built a level of confidence that is such a marker of leveling up your life, not just a superficial marker that you are looking outwardly good, but I think that when you have heads turn and look at you, it is an energy thing. It's a presence thing. It's a really positive sign that things are headed in the right direction if you are walking into work and you're just, noticing that you don't feel bothered by people staring at you when you walk through the door anymore. The seventh thing, this is, I think, something so important because we always second guess ourselves when it comes to making decisions. And that is, for me, I noticed that most of my decisions had positive outcomes, okay? So I'm not saying that I am immune to failures or mistakes at all. But the majority of my decisions that I was making, and as I was taking action on the things that I learned from other people and other resources, were even just being guided by, my intuition as I grew as a person. I noticed that the outcomes were just much more positive than in the past when I would make decisions that I thought were comfortable for me or that I thought, would get me status amongst other people, etc. They didn't always have great outcomes and didn't always move me in the right direction, okay? So think about that for a second. How many of the decisions, the really, maybe even not big decisions, but decisions that are significant enough, how many of those have had positive outcomes lately? It could be something super small, like I said. So take note of those, write them down in your journal, and prove to yourself, okay, I have made a lot of really good decisions with positive outcomes lately, even though some of them may have been hard. This is leveling up my life. Number 8's a big one, and this one took me a long time. And sometimes, just as I've entered motherhood, this one has been still a little bit of a challenge. But it's truly believing that you will always have more than enough, even when I have an unexpected bill. Like we had a flat tire the other day, and our tires are quite pricey. We did not realize that. I choose to just believe and understand that I've always had more than enough. If I look back, I've always been provided for. I've always had, an abundant life, even when I was in the beginning and struggling to level up from nothing. Work on that belief. And when you wake up one day and something happens and you realize that you're not that concerned about how it's going to work out anymore, especially if it's finances, just think about that for a second. Pat yourself on the back and go, wow, I've really changed and worked on that. This has proved to me that my life has leveled up. Number 9, now this was almost like a habit for me, that everything I did, especially in the beginning, had to bring forth an income. When we were really working, my husband and I, on building up our income level to have a relatively high paying income, I would try and find any way that I could to side hustle and bring in more income. And so, things like pet sitting, or if I was just I used to love watercolor, I would try and sell that. I would find any way that I could, just to bring in extra income. And I don't think that's a bad thing in the beginning. Like I said, it's something that I think for the majority of people who are literally have like $2 in their bank account, you've got to go through a time of some serious, leveling up and focus on this aspect of income and doing what you need to do to increase that. But now, this is, I looked around and it's like, I don't need to turn things that I enjoy into income. I can garden without selling the produce, or I can bake without having to sell the goods to make some extra income. I'm at a place now where I can truly do things that I enjoy, like making these videos. And, sure, I would love to further increase our abundance through things like my YouTube channel, but that's not what my focus is in such a dire way. There are going to be some pressures. I think I've experienced the pressure of how inflation has my grocery bill, everyone, is just, I look at it and I think, wow, what I just bought, I could have bought, 2 years ago for half of this. And so it does bring back some pressure every once in a while for me to find something that is an extra source of income. But I don't feel, again, the need to turn what I'm doing into an income. All right, finally, this is something my husband and I talk about a lot, especially when we joined the country club and we were driving our little, used paid for Honda, and we drove an Expedition at the time. And, we would pull into the parking lot of the country club and be surrounded by all of these uber successful people, the lawyers, the doctors, the real estate owners and investors. I mean, just so many super successful people. But we were at the point by then where it did not bother us. And I think that, whenever I see my husband drive our little Honda up for his round of golf, and he's surrounded by Mercedes, Range Rovers, BMWs, everything, I think, wow, like that really doesn't bother me. It's such a good place to be when you realize that the decisions that you're making and the things that you are buying, even, you're truly you're not trying to impress those successful people that maybe you're surrounded by, and you don't feel less than. You feel actually an opportunity to learn from all of these other people. And, in a way, you have to sort of consider that some of these people probably have the outward appearance of success, but they are probably dealing with other challenges and difficulties, just like anyone else is. And so this is something that I think is a level of definitely your sort of emotional and your intellectual maturity to realize and be around those successful people and stay confident in your level up journey and where you are in life. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that I brought you some encouragement today and something to think about. I would love to hear in the comments below, what is something that you have realized maybe recently or earlier on in your journey that showed you and proved to you that you're on the right path with your level up journey, and you didn't have to wonder and second guess yourself if you were using your time wisely, spending it in a way that was getting you closer to your level up goals. I would love to hear some examples of that and give some encouragement to other ladies in the comments down below. If you have not yet seen one of these videos here on the screen, I invite you to watch one of those and join me there. And until next time, bye.